Hello, everyone, and I would like to welcome you to our Friday Reflections. I hope all of you are having a great week. And for those of you on fall break from school, I hope you have a great, restful, and renewing few days off from school. Just a couple of very quick reminders of things that are important. This coming Sunday is our Stewardship Sunday, and the culmination of our stewardship emphasis of one bread, one body. Again, I would highly encourage everyone to prayerfully discern your stewardship contribution for 2021. Not only treasure, not only pledge card, but also time and talent as well, to prayerfully discern that. Also, if you have not filled out the worship survey that was sent in the more recent communications to the congregation, please take a moment to fill that out. As a leadership here, we're trying to discern where we move forward with worship, especially once it becomes difficult to be outside doing that. So please take a moment to do that as well. And as always, please pay close attention to the announcements we send you. We put a lot of time and effort into those, and just to keep you informed and to share opportunities for you to be involved in the ministry. So they are very important to us, so please take a moment to look those over as well. Today I would like to end my stewardship time by just reminding us of an important aspect of stewardship that probably maybe gets missed in the midst of stewardship campaigns at churches. And that is, stewardship is not just something we do at church. Stewardship is really something we do with all of our lives. And I know many times the only place you probably hear much about stewardship is from the church. But really, when you think about sharing the blessings and being good stewards of the blessings that God has given us, that really does entail all of our lives. From how we share those blessings at home with our families, how we share them with our friends and colleagues, how we share them at work, how we share them at school, how we share them just in the wider community. So when we think about stewardship, we have to remember this just isn't something that we do at church, that we give or do something at church and therefore I fulfill my stewardship responsibility. No, it's something that we have to look at with the totality of our lives. Wherever God has placed us, wherever God has put us, is an opportunity for us to be good stewards of the blessings that God has given us. There are many instances in the Bible where Jesus talks about this. I've always found interesting that Jesus really didn't focus much on numbers, even the 10%. He didn't focus much on that. Jesus focused more on 100%. He talked more about the whole of our being, the whole of our lives, wherever God has placed us. One of these is from Matthew 23, verse 23, where he's talking to the scribes and Pharisees and reminding them that stewardship is really more than just what they do at the temple, where he says, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites," he calls them. He says, "For you tithe mint and dill and cumin, but have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice and mercy and faith. It is these you ought to have practiced without neglecting the others." And I think of the story of the widow's mite, when all those people were coming to the temple, dropping in large amounts in the collection, and the disciples were oohing and ahhing over how much people were giving, and all of a sudden here came this widow that drops in 2 small coins, barely makes a noise in the container, and Jesus says she's given more than all the others because she gave everything she had, all that she had to live on. He said, great was her faith. And you can find stories like that throughout the Bible with Jesus. It wasn't that Jesus wasn't aware of nor a supporter of the tithe, but he just knew that, it needed to be more than that. When we talk about being stewards of creation, of all of God's blessings, it needs to be something more than just what we do at our religious institution. It needs to be all of our lives. So as we conclude this stewardship time this year, as we move forward, we need to remember that stewardship is important to our local community of Christ. And again, I would encourage you to do that, especially now as we're trying to put together priorities and a budget for what we want to do in 2021. Please take that time to share that information with us, but also remember stewardship is more than just what we do here. It's what we do in all aspects of our lives. And I recently was sent a neat video that talks about this. It's called What is Stewardship? It's actually put on by the Catholic Diocese of Charleston. And so as I end this time, we're going to segue into that. It's sort of a neat visual and description of what I'm talking about here, of how important stewardship is in all aspects of our lives. God's blessings to you. Enjoy the video. And again, hope all of you have a great weekend.
Once one chooses to become a disciple of Jesus Christ, stewardship is not an option. What is stewardship? Simply put, it's receiving, developing, sharing, and returning God's gifts. Stewardship is about taking responsibility for the gifts that God has given us, which is everything, and using them well. We are stewards, not owners, of the life God has entrusted to us. We are called to give back to God through our time, talents, and treasure. The spirituality of stewardship flows from authentic discipleship. This means if we claim to follow Jesus, we should be striving to live as good stewards. God has given us everything we need to go on the mission to make disciples of all nations. Our gifts are meant to be generously shared, not hoarded. Stewardship calls us to make God the priority in all areas of our lives. This is a way of living, not a temporary parish program. God never stops giving. Our opportunities to respond from the heart are endless. That's why stewardship is a way of life and a lifelong source of grace and deepening spirituality. We all receive very unique gifts, specific to us and to the personal mission God sent us on. These gifts include each minute of the day, our skills and abilities, our families, our homes, our finances, our jobs, and even our personalities and passions. With these gifts, we're called to grow and share them out of gratitude. If we hoard them or do nothing with them, we waste the gifts God has entrusted to us. Once we understand and embrace this idea, everything changes. You are called to be a disciple, a follower of Jesus Christ. Accepting this invitation to be a disciple isn't just a one-time event. It's a daily, conscious decision. This is about God's plan for your life. Did you know that when we give back to God, He multiplies our gifts? Remember when the little boy in John's Gospel offered his 5 barley loaves and 2 fish to feed the thousands? Jesus took this small offering, blessed it, multiplied it, and then fed the massive crowd, and there were leftovers. This miracle happened through the generosity of one little person. Stewardship is a lifestyle that reflects who we are and what we believe. It goes beyond the mere sharing of one's resources, but asks us to share ourselves, our time, our abilities, our ministry, and our relationships. Stewardship is really a call to be a holy people. Stewardship is the disciples' response. What is your response?